We welcome you to the last of the season meetings and gatherings. I would request that maybe during your conversations before we get to the middle of the program, that kick some ideas around with regard to some programs you'd like to see. There is a committee that in a couple of weeks will gather together to try to craft a program for next year. But we're certainly open to all sorts of suggestions that you may have. You may have gone to some particular performance that you saw before or presentation that you were impressed with, and maybe you could share that information with Dick Clark or Paul Bryant or myself, and we'll see if we can't recruit some of those people. Otherwise, it's going to be potluck, and you're going to end up with programs that we craft together. So you get your 2 cents worth in while you can. I guess other than that, I would ask that you join me, and I will give us a blessing to begin the meal. Heavenly Father, thank you for family and friends. Thank you for times like these, where we can gather together, share in food, drink, and relax. Please bless this meal and all that it means. May the food nourish us and the fellowship enrich our lives. Most of all, may we always invite you into our homes and into our hearts. Amen. Amen. And so she's been the station manager for some 13, 14 years. She ushered Simsbury Community TV into the tapeless digital environment, high-tech stuff. She transitioned them to robotic cameras in Town Hall and continues to produce headline Simsbury programs. Also going to be speaking to us about the program is Mark Orenstein, who has come to the Simsbury Community TV. I think I've got here in 2015. I have a feeling that it was really prior to that time. As a volunteer, and has become an integral part of the planning and implementation of the equipment infrastructure, which is, you've got programming and then you've got all the high-tech stuff, and they make a great partnership. He brought his expertise in IT and helped the station transition to affordable systems for digital broadcasting, and he's also played an integral part in getting robotic cameras into 2 library program rooms, and also obviously is a member of the Simsbury Community TV Board of Directors. So welcome to you both, and we're looking forward to hearing about the program.
Thank you for inviting us. And thank you, ladies, for a wonderful lunch. Thank Nancy. Who receives the Hartford Courant, either paper or digital copy? No, not a lot of, oh yeah, okay. And you notice that the town section of the news about Simsbury sort of disappeared several years ago. There's no daily local news section reporting for Simsbury. You maybe get the Valley Press twice a month, and Simsbury Life once a month. But Simsbury Community Television, which I will start saying SCTV, we provide daily programming focused on the town of Simsbury's 3 access television channels, essentially 24/7. Programming is produced by volunteers, and we don't do hard news, but you can learn about what's going on in the community by watching SCTV. If you're not familiar, we do have 3 channels. They're called PEG channels, P-E-G, a public channel, which is for local producers, and that can be found on Comcast Channel 5 on the basic tier and on 1084 on the digital tier, and for Frontier subscribers on Channel 6069. We also have an educational channel for schools to use or for educational programming, and that's on Channel 95 and 1070 and Frontier on 6070. We have a government channel, and that's for municipal meetings and other town and government-related programming, and that's on Channel 96, 1090, or Frontier 6071. SCTV also has a YouTube channel, and we have over 2,000 subscribers. And we have our website, where you can find our schedules and videos on demand and archived. Our website is simsburytv.org. Hopefully you've got some information that got passed around with some of this information on there. Our mission is to encourage the community participation in the production of non-commercial programming and encourage the free expression of diverse ideas and opinions on public access cable television. More simply, keeping Simsbury informed. We were formed in 1984 by legislation of the Connecticut legislature, and SCTV is a non-stock, non-profit public corporation. That means we're a 501c3 charitable organization under the IRS code. We file a 990 EZ form every year. And we're regulated by the Connecticut Public Utility Regulatory Authority, which is called PURA. We file an annual report with PURA, which includes a wealth of information that's available to the public. We are located in Eno Memorial Hall, and on the lower level, that's 754 Hot Meadow Street. We have about 1,600 square feet of space, rent-free from the town of Simsbury. They provide us heat and light and power. We have a full production studio there with 4 robotic cameras and a teleprompter. We have 3 field cameras that can be checked out and used once a user is certified. As you can see over here, thank you, Joe, for taping us today. And we have 3 editing computers. We use Final Cut Pro to edit our programs. Our off-site equipment includes 3 robotic cameras in the main meeting room at Town Hall, 3 in the Board of Ed conference room, 2 each in the program room 1 and the new program room under construction at the public library. And we can go live from other locations with good internet connection. We have 3 paid staff, 1 full-time person. I have 2 part-time people, Phyllis, who runs the office, and Kristen, who's my editor. And we have a 13-member board of directors, which Mark is a member of. We have a budget of about $100,000 annually. The bulk of the revenue comes from cable subscribers, and that is a rate of 70 cents per month, or $8.37 a year, and that's for the roughly 7,500 households that are in Simsbury that are cable subscribers. And that rate is set by PURA. And that works out to be about $55,000 from Comcast subscribers, another $8,000 from Frontier, and then SCTV does fundraising for another $17,000 approximately, and the town of Simsbury, we get about $10,000 from them, split between the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education. And for the first time in 2018, we had a shortfall of over $5,000. Generally, we don't operate at a loss, but the world is changing, and cable subscribers are cutting the cord. They're leaving cable and going to subscription services such as Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, YouTube, etc. And because of the competition for viewers, even cable companies are doing more to compete. But the number of subscribers is decreasing, even though the Connecticut legislature bumps up our access fee each year based on the CPI. The point is, we don't control our main revenue stream. Let me talk about programming. Residents can produce their own non-commercial programming for free on any subject as long as you don't promote a product or service or have a direct call to action. Businesses can use the channel to talk about trends in their industry or their history or describe what they do. You just can't be an infomercial. And nonprofit organizations have more leeway and can promote their purpose or highlight upcoming events. And again, we have 3 channels. So the public channel has the most variety of programming on it. We average, in 2018, these are some of the figures from our PURA report, we average about 119 hours of programming per week. We produced about 207 programs during 2018, and we aired another 633 programs that were produced elsewhere. And in between our programs, we run a community calendar scroll of announcements of things that are going on around town. On our educational channel, we averaged about 73 hours of programming a week during 2018, produced 43 programs, and broadcast another 55 that were produced elsewhere. On the government channel, we average about 103 hours of programming per week, with 72 programs that are produced. Now, we do cover regularly the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance, the Board of Education meetings, planning and zoning, and then less regularly Open Space and Conservation Commission, sort of depending on what our volunteers have interest in doing. For local elections, we provide a platform for political candidates to get their message out. So if you don't have cable, you can utilize the SETV website, again, simsburytv.org, and you can watch live meetings, and you can watch any of our archived videos on demand on our website. And Mark is going to tell us a little bit about how we accomplish this with our live feeds and about the SETV backend.
Hi, everybody. So I'm a senior IT geek. I got involved with computers in 1963 at Tufts and have been involved with computers since then. And we moved into Simsbury in 1972. I went to work for Travelers, and we're very un-American, my wife and I. We haven't moved from that house. So we've been in it for a long, long time. Before I go into SCTV, I saw a lot of hands raised on email and whatnot. I want to hit something. How many people are here have Windows PCs that are still running Windows 7? A couple, okay. Windows 7 is no longer supported except for security fixes. Security fixes end on January 14th of next year. So you want to pay attention. You either, if you have a fairly new PC, one within 5 years or so, you can upgrade to Windows 10. And I upgraded a fellow about 3 weeks ago, and there was no money involved. You could just take the PC, update it in place, if you know what you're doing, and you've got it. Otherwise, you want to take a look at buying a new PC. Once Microsoft stops issuing security fixes, the people that are most exposed are the home users. You know, enterprises have other ways of packing things and protecting things, but not home users. So I just wanted to mention that as a lead-in. And if you do need help, don't hesitate to call SCTV, ask for me. If you want me to come over to your house, I'd be more than happy to do it. I've done it for seniors in Simsbury for a while. Okay, so how did I get involved as a volunteer with SCTV? Well, I was on the Aging, and I still am, on the Aging and Disability Commission in town for about 12 years, and that induced me to start watching the Board of Selectmen meetings, and at budget time, pretty much the Board of Finance and Board of Education meetings as well. Now, watching is a funny word, because the way I watched was I was typically doing something else, but I had it on in the background, and I would listen for a buzzword, and if my brain picked that up, I would turn around and start watching a particular segment of it. So, wind up to 2014. The end of 2014, there was a significant political issue in town having to do with the first selectman's salary, having to do with Mary's salary. And there was a special Board of Selectmen meeting that was scheduled at the library because of the anticipated overflow crowd. I happened to get there early. I saw 2 SCTV people, volunteers, setting up cameras. I went and chatted with them and said, oh, it's great that you can do this and send it out. And I got feedback from one of them, oh no, we're recording it. And because we got the 2 cameras, it's going to take a while to edit it, to get it out on the air. And I said, you can't do it from the library? It said, we don't have the technical capability. We can do it from town hall, but we can't do it from the library. And my background is networking, internet stuff. Here's the library, here's Eno Hall. SCTV has good internet connectivity. The library has excellent internet connectivity. You've got YouTube already and other things coming along. Why can't you do it? So the next day, I called Karen. Karen says, come down, let's talk. And she's got the capability to reel you in. So about 2 months after that, turns out she had won a little device to connect a camera to a PC, but nobody knew how to use it. So she gave it to me. Take it home, play with it. I did. 2 months later, we covered the Board of Finance meeting in the high school amphitheater, sending the signal from Wi-Fi in the town hall back to the studio, and then out to I think it was only Comcast at the time.
I think it was both.
Both?
Oh, no, just to Comcast.
Yeah, I think way back then it was back to Comcast. So, and then we started doing some more stuff in the library and the high school, I guess. Those are the 2 major locations that we've broadcast from. I think we may have done Henry James once, so on one thing. But in any event, I was fully retired. This gave me something to do. It sort of became a sandbox for me to play in, too. And I got invited to be on the board of directors to head up technology. We knew things, well, even before I got there, the board of directors knew things were starting to change. The last round of equipment had come in 2007, 2008 timeframe. By the way, the cameras that were being used beforehand, the ones that required cameramen, they were about $15,000 a piece. The cameras we bought 2 years ago that are fully robotic are in the $1,700 range. And they're, they look like surveillance cameras, basically. They're so tiny. If you ever go into the Friends program room in the library and take a look at the back columns, you'll just see 2 sitting there. Same thing in town hall. So Karen had put together a budget at the time based on commercial equipment as to what would be needed to start replacing the old equipment. And I started to take a look at it, and I started to learn more about video, and I started to realize, these products are pretty much meant for sophisticated TV stations, maybe upper-end community TV stations that get a lot of funding, but they're expensive. Each channel would have cost about $11,000 to support. And I had had some communication with a fellow from Newington TV that had been doing some work, and I also had done a project with my grandson about a year before using this little thing. It's called a Raspberry Pi. It's got USB ports, it's got an Ethernet port. This is a full computer. It's got a gig of memory in it. It's got about the same power as an early, say a 2004, 2006 Windows PC in it. What do you think this costs? Anybody?
No idea.
35 bucks. Well, you have to add a power supply, and you have to add a little more storage to it, but by the time you're done, for $65, you can have one of these. So I started to play around with it over a Christmas vacation, I think, in 2016. I've lost track. 2016, I think it was now. And I got something working that would display the slides and play back the programs from a file server that we have at the station for each of these. And, we started to calculate, $11,000 per station minimum versus one of these things on the file server. So now we have one of these. Here, I'll pass it around. We have one of these per TV station per Comcast, and Per Frontier. So we have 6 of these running. We actually have 8, because one of them handles music that we get from Comcast for playing the slides, and another one is there strictly for handling live meetings. $35, well, $65. Well, it was quite amazing, and a little bit of, doing some work to put things together. So that's the way the station runs for playing back all of its stuff now. We get the programs on camera, they get transcribed, edited a little bit maybe, go onto the file server in an encoded form, and this little computer can hardware decode today's video. Put out an HDMI port, send it to an encoder, that sends it to Comcast, or a different encoder, that sends it to Frontier. And the stuff has been absolutely, for the last change I made to this was a year ago February. They're just stable, and it works great. So that's the way playback works. We also got involved in updating the camera equipment, because some things were starting to fail. And I started to look around and discovered that streaming had created this whole industry of lower cost equipment. How was the equipment lower cost? Because of the number of smartphones that had been purchased. If you take a smartphone and a vendor says, I'm going to put $1 per smartphone into research, it's just amazing the amount of money towards miniaturization, making these smaller and smaller. This one's about 4 years old. So the smartphone industry caused to bleed, small cameras, small microphones, small speakers, into other industries. And miniaturization started to occur, and prices really dropped because so many people were buying these things. So our first project was to update the cameras in Town Hall. And we got 6 new cameras. This is part of a grant from the Hartford Foundation for Giving. Karen wrote a grant application, and Hartford Foundation came back with, we'll give you up to $35,000 if you can fundraise $35,000. This was 3 years ago. We went into a fundraising mode, and we raised, I think, a total of about $42,000. We got the full amount. And we still actually have some money left over. We had enough money left over to do the library, and we still have some money left over for a little bit of future effort on it. But anyways, we started to put things together using what was evolving in the streaming industry, video streaming. And we bought cameras that are fully robotic. They do pan, tilt, and zoom, go back and forth. So now you're running the cameras from software on a computer with a big TV screen in front of you. The big TV screen displays each camera. You make a selection from one camera to another camera. It's just amazing the amount of equipment that disappeared. Up in Town Hall, we had 2 racks of equipment. And I would say we're down to about 2/3 of a rack at this point. And in the studio, you had 4 or 6 monitors lined up. And now it's one just 45-inch TV, I think it is, that handles it all with one person. So times have changed. Basically video is bits at this point. It's data processing stuff. So the cameras are connected into this big PC, pretty powerful PC. Encoding requires a lot of CPU power. Decoding is pretty simple, but encoding requires a lot of CPU power. So we put a system together. We started off and have exactly the same software running now at Town Hall and the studio and the French room and the library. And we have the cameras with the capability, so for those rooms, you've got a number of cameras, and you don't have to worry about carrying field cameras around. So So that sort of is deleted now. What's going to happen in the future? Who the heck knows? I mean, who knows what the integration is going to be even with our bodies, with all of this nanotechnology stuff going on. So I hope I'm around to see some of it. So.
My question is not about programming, but somehow I got this thing in my head that you were moving from Eno to the junior high at some point.
It had been talked about when the town was considering expanding Eno Hall and the senior center. They were looking to move us out of that facility. And that's been put on the back burner at this point, as far as I know. I don't know that the town is going to be talking about that anytime soon. So we expect to be there, hopefully, for another 20 years anyway.
May I add something to that? I happen to be on the Public Building Committee, which is assigned that responsibility, and it is still on our agenda.
It is, okay.
Not much is happening right now, but
Well, and I think what's difficult for us is there's some specific needs to the space that would be ideal for us. I mean, Eno Hall is not ideal, but it's certainly functioning. But, for a studio, you really like to have a little bit of a higher ceiling and really kind of some black box space without windows to interfere with what you're doing in a studio. So you can control the lighting, for example. So let us know when we have to start looking for another place to live. There are some other challenges that are on the horizon for us. Just briefly, I will say that on a national level, of course, I did mention the cord cutting, which is reducing our base revenue. The FCC has also proposed some rule changes that could severely affect the cable company's compensation to localities by charging for the in-kind services that they provide, which would essentially include the channels, our 3 channels, and that hasn't been decided yet. There's also a Supreme Court case pending that could also affect PEG stations. SCTV is a member of the National Alliance for Community Media, and they do keep us up to date on the progress of things going on at the national level. In Connecticut, we are fighting to get our PEG-PISA funds back, which is a technology investment account that this was money that was set aside by the state, and this account has been swept now into the general fund for the past few years, and we're trying to get that money back available to us. And we're also trying to get our channel in HD. Do you know of anything that's still in standard def? Not even your cell phone makes standard def videos, it makes high def videos. So we're still trying to see if the cable companies will give us a channel in HD, and they won't do it unless it's somehow in the books. So I don't know how any of this is going to play out, but I will say, how can you support this local resource? And that would is to volunteer, to produce programs, to serve on our board of directors, to donate, and to contact legislators for some of the stuff that's happening, at least on the state level. And I would be happy to talk to anybody about any of these things. And yes, any other questions?
And if anybody's interested in taking a little tour of the studio, seeing some of the
Certainly.
equipment, sitting down and controlling a camera, give us a call.
All right, any other questions? All right, well, thank you.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.